Hey everyone, it's Eric Machnes, Director of Operations at Red Clover.
And Jen Lestrange, CEO of Red Clover.
And here we are with another HR Quick Sip, which is quick HR advice that you can enjoy over your morning coffee. And today we're going to jump right into it and talking about toxic employee cultures and what makes a toxic culture hard to spot. Jen, really quickly, why don't you just quickly define a toxic culture and why it may not always look dramatic and obvious to the CEO?
Yeah, I feel like this is a great topic for morning coffee, right? Let's just start out with toxicity.
Yeah.
Listen, for me, toxic workplace culture starts and is really defined by like a lack of trust between people, and it plays out either silo mentality or like straight up people just stop talking to each other and they're just, head down, do the work, but there's no real belief that they can rely on their colleagues.
Okay. And obviously, I think when we think about CEOs and business leaders really trying to grow their business, they may be expecting kind of an overt sign that there's a toxic culture going on. But maybe what is one subtle sign that may signal to a CEO that they have a culture problem?
I think, and it's true, it doesn't always show up as blatantly as people arguing across the table. And sometimes actually arguments are a sign of a healthy culture, right? Because people believe that they can have that argument in a safe space. I think when people start to see that either colleagues aren't updating each other, or they're not sharing information freely, or they're protecting information, like protecting their turf, and it's showing up either in leadership meetings where people, like, things are going on one side of the organization and then on the other they don't know what's going on, or people start to work on stuff that starts to borderline what someone else is doing, like HR and finance are starting to argue. We see that a lot, and they're starting to like step into each other's turf without actually communicating to each other. So I think that's probably most commonly how we see it show up.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe you've seen things that are a little different?
No, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head there.
Okay.
I think that obviously Red Clover, our core values is really, are prominently displayed on our website, is really something that we market as a value prop to not only work for us, but also work with us as an outsourced HR partner. And I think you would probably always point out that culture does start at the top.
Yeah.
What is a leader's responsibility in promoting and maintaining culture?
Role modeling, right?
Okay.
Fish starts to stink from the head, is the old expression. That plays out for healthy culture, but I think even more importantly, that we have this expression that bad news travels faster than good. And when we see a leader that doesn't emulate or doesn't, I don't know if the expression's walk the talk, walk the walk, whatever it is, they aren't living up to the expectations of the behavioral norms that have been established through the company values and culture, and they're doing things that don't reflect what people are expecting, it sends a signal to the rest of the organization that anything goes. And that it's, all right, well, so if this guy's not behaving in the way that we expected or that makes us feel safe to share unpopular opinions, a different perspective on something, if I don't feel safe to share that I feel that there's going to be some sort of blowback in terms of my success in this organization, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut, or I'm going to do my thing in my corner, that permeates the organization much faster than anything positive is going to come across.
Absolutely. So imagine that you are a CEO who stumbled upon our video, our channel. What is one thing that a business leader can do right now to get a pulse on the culture of their company without making people defensive, right? Because if the CEO comes to your desk and is like, hey, what's going on? How are you feeling? It's possible that employees may start to kind of get their backs up. What's some advice that you have for a CEO?
I'm a huge fan of just straight up active listening.
Okay.
I know you're really good with that in terms of how you lead. It's something I've had to learn because our communication styles are very different. But I think for a CEO to lead a conversation with questions and curiosity and just being ready to hear the answer without necessarily jumping to a response, and just kind of taking a beat and being like, what am I hearing? What is it telling me? And then trying to figure out, what do I want to do about that? Because sometimes it's things, all right, I'm not going to change that because that's actually a behavior that I need to reinforce for whatever reason. Or it's like, I'm hearing something that doesn't feel like it's emulating our values and culture. And then it's like, all right, here's my take on it, or starting to steer the boat in a different direction. I think the other key thing is it doesn't happen overnight. And we've worked with a lot of organizations where there's been new leadership that's been brought in, and they're trying to course correct what can be a decade of really bad company culture that's sort of disintegrated over time. It takes time to correct it. It takes time to reestablish the trust with the organization so that they're prepared to be vulnerable enough to start to share things transparently, and share their expectations for what they want the organization to be for them.
Yeah, I literally just sat on a call with an employee at a client site, and I pretty much had to say that, I'm sorry that was your experience in the past, but I'm here to make sure it's better in the future.
Yeah.
And I think that is a really critical piece in recognizing that it's not going to be fixed overnight, but I'm making a good faith effort to restore your faith in the company and its culture. So I think that's some really good advice. Thank you so much for joining us for this HR Quick Sip. We will be talking about fixing culture problems without firing everyone in part 2 of this series in our longer form HR Coffee Chat. If you like what you hear, please like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends.